was a loser at home at Yulman Stadium 9 days ago to the Duke Blue Devils. And with James Bates, Wes Durham, great to have you with us for our coverage. Jen Hildreth joins us here in just a moment. There were some questions about Georgia Tech's offense entering this fall, particularly in the skill set on the offensive side. Did they get some answers last Thursday night?
For a team like Georgia Tech, the big question, you lose your top 3 backs from the Orange Bowl championship team. You got to fill that well. They fill it with some new faces, of course. One of those is a graduate transfer from Stanford, Big Bad Patrick Scove, who scored 4 touchdowns his whole career for the Cardinal. Oh, by the way, not just 1, 2, but 3 touchdowns scored in his debut for the Jackets. Speaking of debuts, how about the true freshman Marcus Marshall? Paul Johnson doesn't like to play a lot of those young guys, but he may have to play a guy that goes 184 and 2 touchdowns. So for Tulane defensively, it'll be up to this guy, the little big man, heart of the lion, like his grandpa, Bob Marley, Nico Marley, to run down these guys. 15 tackles against Duke last week in the losing effort. That's 15 tackles, a career high. He's got to lively up himself and stir it up today if he wants to stop the Jackets.
Well done, Bates. Jen Hildreth joins us on the sideline, and the Green Wave may need Marley and a lot more here today, Jen.
Well, Wes, the Green Wave are without one of the most important players for them on defense, and senior safety Darian Monroe, who was suspended for this game for a violation of team rules. Monroe had started every game over the past 3 seasons for Tulane. And I talked to head coach Curtis Johnson just a few moments ago, asked him how much of an impact this would have on his defense, how much more difficult of a task it will be to try to stop this Georgia Tech offense without Monroe, and he said a lot. He was our signal caller on defense, one of our leading tacklers. It's unfortunate, but we've got to deal with it. Now, Roderick Teamer, a true freshman, was listed as number 2 on the depth chart, but it's going to be number 30, Tristan Cooper, the redshirt sophomore who did play in this game against Georgia Tech last year, has a little more experience. He'll get the start today, Wes.
Jen, thank you very much. Tristan Cooper, the son of the former head coach at Louisville and Eastern Michigan, longtime figure on the college scene, Ron Cooper. And here are the 4 keys to the game, Batesy.
All right, let's start with the Green Wave. Tulane, you have one job, and that's your job. You've got to be careful defensively, Curtis Johnson's team, not trying to do too much. Play within the scheme. Georgia Tech, turnover for what? Nah. You remember the turnovers from a year ago? Ted Roof's team, 29 turnovers on the defensive side. Offensively, they've got to continue to take care of the rock. Put it on the ground a couple times in the win over Alcorn State in the opener.
Harrison Butker will kick it away for the Yellow Jackets as we get started here at Grant Field.
All right, see you.
Sherman Beatty, one of the 2 deep men for the Green Wave. Along with Josh Rounds. Beatty had 2 returns for 20 yards last week against the Blue Devils, and Butker gets us started and hammers it into the band in the north end zone. So the Green Wave will start off its 25 or their 25-yard line, and here is a good-looking redshirt sophomore, James Tanner Lee.
Absolutely. He was the guy last year. Looks the part. 6'4", 220 pounds. Jesuit High School, played in a lot of big games back in his prep days. He's just got to get into a groove early. He's got to get relaxed. I don't think he ever felt comfortable last week, and they were hoping, obviously, that their sophomore would lead this charge offensively right out the gate against Duke. It wasn't the case. So play calling is going to be important to get his feet wet and get him comfortable early in this one.
That's Beatty coming out of the backfield. McCourtis, the linebacker, follows him, and Lee stepped away from 1, 2, but won't get away from the next set of Yellow Jackets. Rod Rook-Chungong was the first guy there to bust the pocket on Tanner Lee.
67% of the time on first down, Tulane throws the football. Ted Roof told us yesterday, scouting these guys. So they pin their ears back and they blitz, they roll the dice. Those are pretty good odds. 67% comes up right.
And here is Sherman Beatty, getting maybe a yard or 2 toward the 28. B.J. Davis, Keyshawn Freeman, a junior and sophomore respectively for Paul Johnson's team. So now 3rd down, and last week, James, Tulane just 2 of 14. A year ago, they were only 33% on 3rd down. Unkalad, the receiver, to the top of the screen. 2 guys, 3 guys, including the tight end here to the near side. Lee to throw. This is Veal, and he'll be trapped at the 31. McCornis, the linebacker, on the play.
Good job by Georgia Tech. A nice 3 and out. They brought B.J. Davis late. Defensive backs knowing where the chains are, keeping everybody in front of them. Impact players today brought to you by Toyota. LaZedrick Thompson. If you do a word scramble there, it looks like laser. That's the way he runs. But boom, straight and fast. And in tight end, Charles George had a great freshman year. Didn't have a great start last week against Duke. They really need to lean on him a little bit today offensively.
First punt by Peter Piccarelli toward Jamal Golden. Off the 20. Golden circles back. 40. Near sideline, Golden tiptoes into Tulane territory to the 37-yard line.
To call the special teams west of Tulane an adventure last week against Duke is being nice to him. It wasn't very pretty at all back home against the Duke Blue Devils in the loss, and that's just the way they start here today. A nice job by Jamal Golden, the starting safety who means so much defensively, means a lot to this offense. Great field position to start this thing for JT.
44-yard return by Golden. Here is Thomas. Redshirt junior, Prattville, Alabama. Scove is the B-back. And Thomas on the option. He'll keep and pick up almost 10 on first down. LaFrance, defensive end, makes the play.
Well, all eyes on Scove. There's big Scove, and a nice read by Thomas. The end coming down for that dive. And taking advantage, and they will move the chains. He did get 10.
Slot set for the Jackets on 1st and 10. And here's Scove's first carry. He gets almost 10. Maybe another first down, James. Big Patrick Scove. Donnie Lewis Jr. from the secondary makes the tackle after 10 yards.
Guys, watch 58. Watch the center right here, right off the top. Freddie Burden snaps that ball and gets off the spot so fast. It's linebacker or safety-like. He's such a good athlete, and when he penetrates that defense and can get so deep up to that next level before anybody even reacts, now you've got Scove coming at you. That can be dangerous for a defense.
Another first down toss this time, and here is Searcy inside the 10, out of bounds. Almost another 10-yard gain. Be close to a first and goal situation. Jared Franklin, Tristan Cooper the tackle on Quay Searcy. Boy. The Toyota Impact players for Georgia Tech, James.
Well, Michael Summers had a nice touchdown grab last week. Continue to get him involved. He's the only guy who had some starts last year. And there's our guy, Big Freddie Burden, the junior from Statesboro High School. Had a nice sit down with him yesterday. 18 inches of movement on each play is the goal, to push that defensive line back that much, then and then some.
Thomas cannot avoid the sack. Blitz from Franklin. The nickel that time for the Tulane defense. Lionel Washington's got Franklin queued up pretty good.
Yeah, we talked with defensive coordinator Lionel Washington. Here he is. He's going to come from the edge. He's the spy throughout the day. Well, you don't need to spy too much and wait and see what Justin Thomas is going to do and react when you're blitzing off that edge like that. He told us, because that's one thing he asked. When you put a spy on Justin Thomas, he better be a pretty good open field tackler. When you beeline it like that, when you heat it up and go right at him, don't give him a chance to move.
JT from the pocket this time. Thomas trying to get back and will be pulled out of bounds. Nico Marley pulled him down. Back at about the 13-yard line, Georgia Tech into the CPI security red zone here on their opening drive. And, of course, last week against Alcorn, the Jackets were fantastic. 7 opportunities, 7 touchdowns. But a year ago, they were 70% in the red zone for Paul Johnson, now in his 8th season here in Atlanta.
Well, here's a percentage that was pretty good for him last year. Almost 60% on third down. See if they can convert.
He'll pitch it this time. Here is Searcy. He'll get to the 5 and dive for the pylon. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. Michael Summers might have freed him the last 7 or 8 yards there, James.
Well, you asked me off the top, Wes. the questions they had in the backfield. They lost their top 3 guys from last year's run. These new faces, well, we highlighted Patrick Stove, his 3 touchdowns from week 1. Marcus Marshall, his 2 from week 1. But Quay Searcy came out there, the redshirt freshman. He had a great night. Ike Willis had a great night. Marcus Allen got banged up a little bit, but they have a nice stable of backs here this year, and Quay punching it in first.
Well, one of Georgia Tech's calling cards a year ago, and so far through 2 games in 2015. What do they do with their opening drive? They punch it in the end zone. Jamal Golden set it up, 45-yard punt return. 6 plays later, Quay Searcy's in the end zone. Number 15, Georgia Tech with the early lead.
By CPI Security, your local Ford dealers. And FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football.
Well, they're spit shining and making sure the Ramblin' Wreck is all ready to go since the early 1960s. The old Ford Model A has led Georgia Tech onto the field on this historic venue, Grant Field. With James Bates Wester up the Jackets with an early 7-0 lead. And Bucker going to hang this up. Beatty will have a return from the goal line. And Sherman Beatty slipped 2 tackles and finally gang tackled at about the 27-yard line. So Tulane falls behind after the Jackets' first possession.
You hear so much talk of the spread. You get your athletes out in space, let them make the play. Watch this here. So everybody, boom, nice pitch by Justin, and it's the right read, and then up to make the tackle, Donnie Lewis from his safety spot. That's the one-on-one. It's the same, the spread that you see all across college football. And this offense of Paul Johnson's, it's very similar. You get those athletes out in space and let them make a play. Quay Searcy making Johnny Lewis miss, and the nice block down the field by Michael Summers. That's what it's all about.
2 backs in the backfield for Lee, who works from the gun again. And here on first down, middle of the field, and Devin Breaux, who had the touchdown last week against Duke, the big catch and a first down for the Green Wave. Pickup of almost 20.
Hey, they blitz us on first down last time. They're going to come again. Nobody there in the middle. That's a nice play call and a nice throw for your quarterback who you're trying to get some confidence and you're trying to get him into a little bit of a rhythm. That's an easy throw for a quarterback right across the middle, and you move the chains for the first time today.
That's Kelly, the big fullback in motion. Lee on play action. Up in the pocket. Now going to set and fire. Next field deep for Tulane, who cannot make the play. 2 Jackets back in coverage. DJ White, Jamal Golden there.
Well, it was a pretty throw too, Tanner Lee. Nothing to be ashamed about right there. He drops it right in there for Veal. Let's see. Watch DJ White. DJ White, the senior. You see his right hand there. He's trying to, the strength, the hand strength, the arm strength. And to do it, as a freshman, DJ White probably grabs him in a spot where the official can see it. This time, very sly, keeping that hand of Veal down. Pretty tough to go up and snag it one-handed. Pretty throw and a pretty defensive play by the cornerback, DJ White.
2nd and 10 inside, and this is LaZedrick Thompson's first carry of the day. Junior from LaPlace, Louisiana, a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down, and we get a look at our Toyota Impact players for the Jackets on defense.
Well, right on cue. There's my favorite DJ out there on the field today, DJ White and PJ Davis, who's had a couple tackles already. Had the big blitz earlier. He's fun to watch blitz. 5'11", 218. You wouldn't really think of him as a great blitzer, but they like to move him around. He does a good job with timing, good job in the open field, and knows how to run them down. Again, Tanner Lee, the sophomore, and a 3rd down and long.
3 receivers at tight end. Lee up in the pocket, has to bail out and throw. He did toward Trey Scott as tight end. Incomplete. Lawrence Austin had him wrapped up for Georgia Tech in the pocket. And Tulane will have to punt with the senior Piccarelli.
Good job here by the middle of this defensive line to get some good push. Last time he stepped up to throw and there was room for him. Here there's nothing there at all for him as Austin's coming off the edge, and it was good coverage. You bring the blitz, well, you better have some guys that can cover down the field. Everybody in a green jersey was covered up by the guy in a white jersey of the Yellow Jackets.
Golden's first return, 45 yards. Here's Piccarelli punting again to the senior Golden, and he'll watch it hit, skip inside the Georgia Tech 10 to the 9, and Rowe will down it there for the Green Wave. So Justin Thomas and Georgia Tech will be backed up after a 41-yard punt. We'll return to Bobby Dodd Way in Atlanta after this.
He's like a little Tasmanian devil out there. He's all over the place. He's a fun guy to watch play. I mean, he really plays hard, and he had a bunch of tackles against us a year ago. He's a good player.
James, you know when the opposing coach talks about you, you're doing something right.
Especially when he's never listened to your grandpa's music. You know, a lot of people get fired up, me included, about grandpa. You know who I get fired up about, too, when he plays just like him? Is Rohan Marley. His dad was a great linebacker at Miami.
Dive play on 1st and 10 off the Georgia Tech 10, and Scove gets 5 before LaFrance makes the play, Jen.
Well, Wes, just like Coach Johnson, I have enjoyed watching Nico Marley these first couple of series. He is literally, I think he has talked to everybody out there individually on his defense at one point or another, whether it's Tristan Cooper, the guy who came in for Darian Monroe, and you see Marley telling him where to go, what to do, whether it's yelling at guys. He was hot after that touchdown, or encouraging them as he was doing on the bench before they came back out.
2nd and 5 and a counter on the option read for Thomas. 1st down and more. And he'll step out of bounds up near the 30, and a marker in late on the play from the back judge as Donnie Lewis Jr. had the angle on Thomas.
This is going to be the first penalty of the season against the Yellow Jackets, too. They're going the other way. I think it's an illegal block is what we're looking at.
Now, the referee today is Penn Wagers.
Illegal block below the waist. Number 3 on offense. Half the distance to the goal. 2nd down.
Redshirt junior Isaiah Willis.
Paul Johnson upset. Let's see if we can find it here. You're going to see right here in this area. And outside the tackle box is what it is. You can't cut anybody once they're outside that tackle box. And, of course, well outside. And, there's a lot of cutting that goes on in this Georgia Tech offense, and you better believe that Ike Willis has been around long enough to know he can't do that, so they have to back it up. Now it's 2nd down and 5 instead of a nice hitter there on 1st down.
2nd down and 5, and here's Thomas's first pass, and this is Michael Summers, a 1st down, stretching toward the 24-yard line. And that brings us to our impact players on defense for the Green Wave, brought to you by Toyota.
Well, Jared Franklin, the sophomore linebacker, a nickel guy, a guy who spying Justin Thomas all day today, already starting with a sack. 2nd time this season Justin Thomas has been sacked. And Tristan Cooper, coach's son from down there at Tampa Plant, had to step in because Darian Monroe, as Jen told us off the top, is suspended today.
Dive play for Scove, and Marley then with a little shove after Scove tried to roll off, and Patrick must have thought he was not down, and so Nico made sure he was. But I think the whistle had blown after about a yard.
Yeah, what's the rule on that one? It's a new rule in college football this year, remember, when there's the pile. And if you haven't heard this, it's interesting because, you know, college football fans, you watch it, you pile up and guys pulling the other team off just to get them off their guys, get them off the pile. But that's illegal now. That's a flag. When the guy doesn't think he's down, you shove him down. Now, that's a different story.
Here's the counter again on 2nd and long. And the pitch, and Snoddy fumbled it. Loose change. Ball still bounding around, and the Green Wave have it at the 25 of Georgia Tech. And there's the flag.
There it is.
And being pushed off the pile was Isaiah Willis. And we're getting ready to see the penalty you just spoke of. James, as Tristan Cooper recovered the fumble. And ball security, Jared Franklin made the play here.
Nico Marley does a good job of adjusting his angle, and Jared Franklin.
After the play is over.
You know what?
Dead ball, unsportsmanlike, 17 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's a heck of a job adjusting by Marley. And, you know, I wasn't sure what to think. Jared Franklin, of course, his defensive coordinator, Lionel Washington, is going to say, oh, he's a great open field tackler. But it's Justin Thomas, the Orange Bowl MVP, that he's assigned to, that he's going to spy on all day long. They were right. I mean, Jared Franklin, we've seen it a couple times today. When you don't give a guy to make a cut when you don't give a guy any room to wiggle and you just decide that you're going to go make this play, make this tackle, that's when you get the special football players, just instinctive, and that's a huge turnover for Tulane. Can they do anything with it now?
Inside Georgia Tech's 40. Lee to throw again on first down, and Veal offline, and now a marker thrown in as Chris Milton was there defending for Georgia Tech against Teddy Veal, the sophomore from Bridge City, Louisiana. He and Dontrell Hilliard led the wave in catches last week in the loss to Duke.
Pass interference. Number 6 on the defense. Automatic first down.
Milton, who had 2 picks, the pick 6 against Clemson last year. Here it is coming right at you. They're tangled up a little bit, both guys, really. That second penalty of the season for Georgia Tech only.
And here is the carry by Rob Kelly. And he gets maybe a yard. Georgia Tech, the gold helmets rallying to the ball. Keyshawn Freeman there. Freshman All-America season go from Hogansville, Georgia.
Kelly's the senior, good leader on this team. They lost their leader last year. He had to sit out due to academics. Just 3 carries for 5 yards against Duke. But he's a good hard runner, as you see right there, when there's a hole for him. He's good with his hands out of the backfield. So changing it up a little bit, going with the run on first down. But a good job by the Tech defense to stuff it.
Now they'll reset the receiver and the tight end. Charles Jones back toward the formation. Lee looking to throw up in the pocket, and he'll throw it toward Kelly's feet because Georgia Tech is hit. When he takes the deep drop, James, Georgia Tech's finding a way there.
Well, they're getting there. And just like Georgia Tech, West, these big guys up front for Tulane, 4 of 5 offensive line starters back for the Green Wave. But Georgia Tech has had their way with them for the most part here today. A good job off the edge. Look at Rup Chung Gong using his hands and his power. He got the start today on the inside. That time he comes from the edge. And again, another 3rd down and long for Curtis Johnson's team.
Tanner Lee's missed his last 3 throws. 3rd and long for the Green Wave. Freeman coming free and overthrown, intended for Hilliard. Gamble also in the backfield to chase Tanner Lee. So Tulane is going to try the long field goal with Peter Piccarelli.
Like the change up there by Ted Roof, defensive coordinator of Georgia Tech. They've blitzed him just about every time. You're thinking pass. They've gotten after him with an extra body. This time he decides to bring just 4. When Keyshawn Freeman can get to him with nobody touching him, you can blitz 4. You're pretty good odds there behind those guys.
48-yard try for Sims is no good. He hooked it. Special teams have been a bit of an adventure for Curtis Johnson, and it continues in game 2. Turnover doesn't hurt the Jackets, who lead 7-0.
Corporate champions of the ACC, Geico, Toyota, and New York Life.
Well, beautiful day here in Midtown Atlanta. Not bad at Stone Mountain either. About 40 minutes out to the mountain from here at Grant Field. We welcome you back. And Mike Pelton huddled around his defensive fronts. Done a nice job, especially in a quick change there for Georgia Tech defensively. Offense back out with Thomas. And a quick pitch on the option. Searcy juggled it, kept his feet, and got a couple of yards before Jared Franklin tripped him up. And James, here's what we talked about, the sudden change a second ago.
Great job by Franklin there. And a few plays ago, here's the fumble. Comes and makes sure that ball gets popped out. Turnovers were a key. We talked about it on the top. Not only for Georgia Tech to force a few, but for Georgia Tech also to hold on to it offensively. And that's one thing, if you remember early in a game that was interesting, a little too interesting for Paul Johnson's squad last year in New Orleans. They put it on the ground early, and the tone was set by this Tulane defense. They need to take care of it.
Here's Thomas again, coming on the option. Kept it, spins, eludes, first down. Wow. Almost gave you the full catalog of moves there, didn't he, Batesy?
Little of this, little of that. Boy, Justin Thomas, you know he's got to be hot after turning that ball over. Good read now on the inside. And look, just as we get bragging on Jared Franklin, This is what I was worried about, is in the open field. As good as we've seen him make a few tackles here today, gosh, you know Justin Thomas has got a few in him as well. And nice little spin right there to move the chains.
I see you Labor Day night, Braxton Miller. Let me show you what I got, right? Here is Scove, and just hammering away. Patrick, second effort to midfield, maybe. Corey Redwine from here in the Atlanta area, and Franklin make the stop. But Justin Thomas, this junior redshirt, Prattville, Alabama. A lot of attention paid to him in the offseason, James.
Well, justifiably so. That Orange Bowl MVP. He was a captain of this team as a sophomore. Paul Johnson waits till a couple games in until he lets the team pick a captain. Almost unanimous as a sophomore quarterback last year. So you know he'll probably be again this year. He went for 3 rushing touchdowns in that Orange Bowl game.
Here is Scove again. Dive play behind left guard and left tackle. And Patrick Scove gets the first down for Georgia Tech.
What is it, messing with Sasquatch? We met with Scove yesterday. He pulled out must have been a gallon bag of beef jerky that he carries around. Got to have his protein. Lifting and eating, that's what he's into, and you can tell he's ready to play. I mean, he refuses to go down. You know, it's funny because it was like we were talking to a 30-year-old, 35-year-old man. He talked about the youth on this team and how he's bringing them along, and he's playing like every play matters. He's playing like a senior that really gets it, that every time he carries the ball, there aren't many more carries left in his college career.
Here's Thomas, pumps, now throws, and it's Brad Stewart, the freshman, with the catch. To the 28 of the Green Wave. 12-yard throw to the freshman from Savannah. Barry Nickerson, one of Tulane's better corners, was there in coverage.
Yeah, Paul Johnson, he's not huge on the true freshmen playing, even back to the days of Adrian Peterson at Georgia Southern. He redshirted him. He turned out to be a great one there for the Eagles. But guys like Brad Stewart and Marcus Marshall, pretty special athletes.
First down and 10. Here's the toss, and this is Broderick Snoddy trying to find the cutback and get to maybe the 24-yard line. Eric Thomas, the middle linebacker. 4 career starts coming into today, along with Teamer. Broderick Snoddy, of course, the devastating leg injury last year in the Clemson ball game, and then very poetic last Thursday night against Alcorn, who gets the first play from scrimmage, the toss to Snoddy, huh? His
teammates, you could see the reaction from the bench and this hometown crowd. They were happy to have 22 back out there carrying the rock.
Big offseason, not only rehab, Broderick got married in June. And here is Marcus Marshall, 184-yard, 2-touchdown star of last Thursday night. Driving toward the 20, and a third down coming up for Georgia Tech.
A little different look for you there, true freshman. You know, it seemed like every time he touched the ball last Thursday night, just wide open for him. 8 carries, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A little bit stiffer up front there, defending against him that time, this Tulane Green Wave defense.
Paul Johnson told us yesterday, for all Marshall knows, he's out running down I-85 in the middle of the night in the connector here in Atlanta.
Like the Walking Dead, nobody on the streets.
Third and short, Marshall will have the first down toward the 16. Georgia Tech now 2 of 2 on third down. Tanzel Smart, Robert Kennedy, a redshirt freshman, make the play for the Green Wave. There's a look at the 58-year-old native of Newland, North Carolina, now in his 8th season and 19 years as a head coach. 166 wins for Paul Johnson. And now a timeout at the end of the quarter. So the first 15 minutes in the books here at Grant Field and Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. Jackets with a 7-0 lead. A touchdown from Quay Searcy, the only marker so far in the ball game. Ringing the bell here.
Yeah, they are. Defensively, had a big turnover. The Green Wave forced Georgia Tech to put it down on the floor. They couldn't do anything with it. Missed the field goal. On the other hand, Georgia Tech running up and down the field, trying to punch it in again to start the second.
Thomas on first down as we start period number 2 inside the 10. Tristan Cooper, the safety, up to make the tackle.
Here you saw at the end of that shot, Nico Marley coaching his teammates up. Look at the big lane that's cleared there, clearing the way. Look at that big 65. That's Trey Clock for Justin Thomas. And a good tackle by Tristan Cooper in the open field. Darian Monroe, of course, not getting that start. Cooper has made a couple good tackles in the open field today.
And here's Marcus Marshall's second carry, and Tanzel Smart pulls him down toward the first down spot. There's a look at Tanzel, 6'1", 303, the junior Baton Rouge. 6.5 tackles behind the line a season ago for Curtis Johnson's team. Tulane, by the way, a season ago won just 3 ball games. They went 7-6 in 2013, but had some veteran guys on that squad. And then last year the rebuilding started. We saw Lee as a freshman, redshirt freshman against Duke about this time a year ago. Now we got an official stopping play, and what the conversation is with Penn Wagers and his crew here. The line judge is Jeff Jones, and the head linesman now, John Hoffman, in for a visit.
Clock's running meanwhile, which is one thing we could have used in the second half last week of our broadcast.
The clock here is lost. Probably, what, 20 seconds, you think?
Oh, more than that.
Yeah.
We do have a first down.
Meanwhile, we played about 2 minutes here in this second quarter. Off one play, we played 2 minutes, Batesy. 11th play of the drive. Here is Scove. Diving, did he make it? No. Well, he's ruled a touchdown here by the official on the near side. So Patrick Scove has got his 4th rushing score of the season.
Matching his career total back in Palo Alto. Watch the offensive line. What a nice luxury to have. The big dogs up front. We met with Freddie Burton yesterday, the center. He said, man, we just love it when our B-backs get yardage there in that guard box, there in the middle, the big guys behind them. Guys like Marcus Marshall and Broderick Snoddy, they take a lot of pride in that, and it sure showed right there, just paving the way, a lot like we saw many times last Thursday night against Alcorn State.
Bucker out of Ryan Rodwell's hold adds the extra point. So Scove, who had 3 of them 9 days ago in his first game as a Yellow Jacket, tallies rushing score number 4 to make it 14-0 in Atlanta. Second period, James. And Bucker will kick it away. Rounds and Sherman Beatty deep as Patrick Scove. It's his first rushing score of the day, and here is Beatty off the 5. Up the far side, and around the 30-yard line is where Tulane will start the possession here.
Let's go back to the touchdown here, Wes, and watch clock right here, the right guard. He's going to pull defensively. You got to see that and go meet him back there. Otherwise, you're going to get a great big gap, especially when you've got a guy like Brian Chamberlain to lead the way to seal off the other edge. And there you see all the daylight and a good block down the field as well. And it's just too easy for the big man from Stanford, Patrick Scove, for touchdown number 4.
Scove here using that graduate transfer option you see often in college basketball. He's added it here in football, working on an MBA with an emphasis in finance. And we get a flag, and the Green Wave might have gotten an early start.
Yard. Number 78 offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I mean, you know, we talked to the offensive coordinator here of Tulane, Eric Price, and it's just Tanner Lee, he couldn't emphasize enough. He just needs to settle down. We need him not to think and just play, because he is a player. We're going to try to whittle down the package, and we're going to get him comfortable, get him relaxed, and let him play. But when you have little 5-yard penalties, now it's 1st and 15. You're just fighting upstream. You can't do it.
Here's Kelly, pulled down, and that's DJ White on the far side. Nice read defensively of that play, James.
Oh, absolutely. Smart, heady cornerbacks, the entire secondary here for this Georgia Tech defense. Don't panic, step up, get that head across, bring those feet a little bit more, DJ. But a nice tackle. You know, a gain of 2, and now you're looking at 2nd down and 8 instead of 2nd down and 13.
Lee trying to move the pocket and overthrows the tight end. That's Trey Scott, who is from nearby Powder Springs, Georgia. Scott played with McEachern for Kyle Hockman, who's done just a fabulous job with that program.
We've seen a couple third down and longs. We've seen the blitz on third and long from Ted Roof. Last time out, though, on third down and 10, they chose to just rush 4. Keyshawn Freeman got there. He did it up on Tanner Lee. Let's see what they draw up right here if they bring some of those backers. P.J. Davis is one of the best blitzers from the linebacker spot in the ACC.
3 receivers, a tight end in the set for Lee, who's 3 for 8 today. And Tulane is 0 for 3 on third down. Middle of the field and looking for Scott. And in between was McCourtis and Golden. Tyler McCourtis, the linebacker, and Jamal Golden, the veteran safety.
Good job by McCourtis to just watch those eyes of the tight end running right down the middle. Good job, better job by Tulane to protect on that quarterback this time. Plenty of time for Lee in a good throw, but McCourtis, you know, not peeking back there. Sometimes as a linebacker you get caught, but you know your assignment. Wasn't quite stride for stride, but in position, those eyes open up on those receivers, snap that head around and knock the ball away. He does just that.
Snap was fumbled, and then the punt's blocked. Picarelli had it blocked. Chris Milton did the damage. And Tulane special teams, the wall's starting to crumble again for the Green Wave in that category.
A couple years ago, number 6 led the nation in punt blocks. He had 3. Here's the first one in 2015. And helping him out a little bit is Peter Picarelli. Not a bad snap at all. Milton knows exactly what to do when he gets back there. Even the angle, he wasn't going to run into him if he did get it off. Big turn of events for Georgia Tech, and now they're knocking on the door one more time against Johnson's defense.
Marshall and Searcy are the A-backs. Thomas throws it here to the near side. This is Ricky June. His first catch of the day down to the Green Wave 5-yard line ahead of Roderick Teamer. As Tulane went man here in the red zone. Curtis Johnson has got to be completely sideways with special teams here, James. Through 2 ball games. Last week, even something as innocent as, you know, offsides on a punt by Duke extended a drive for Duke that ended up being a really big score in the ball game.
You're going to get off the field. You're absolutely right. And the kick cover was terrible.
And Skoll only got a yard or 2, but went down a little awkward. Tanzel Smart was there. But, Jen, it looks like Patrick Skov is up and okay.
And you know that doesn't surprise you. Look at the guy. James said messing with Sasquatch, but he might be the most intelligent and interesting Sasquatch that you've ever seen after we talked to him. I mean, the guy came to our meetings yesterday, okay, wearing these dark rimmed glasses, a green tie-dye T-shirt that at one time was more than 6 inches wide across the front. And he's just such an interesting character. As he said when he described his running style, I am contact-oriented.
No truer statement there so far in the college football season. And Justin Thomas calls his own number and scores standing in the end zone. And the Jackets made that look really easy, James.
Thanks in large part to the guys out on the edge blocking. There's a jacket down, though, in the back of the end zone. Offensive lineman. Take that back. I'm not sure who it is.
So the 4-yard run by Thomas, and that is Quay Searcy, the A-back. Well, Nico Marley's upset with his teammates here, James, as Thomas just started doing the math on that play, didn't he?
Well, and some of it, absolutely. And you know, there's a lot of times when Thomas will come to the line and see numbers, and he knows exactly what he needs to get this offense into. And then when you've got the big bodies leading the way, Trey Bronnett was pulling that time. We saw a clock earlier on the touchdown run.
And Butker's point after try is good. Well, Peter Picarelli mishandled the snap. Chris Milton registered the punt block. And then Georgia Tech was standing in the end zone 3 plays later with Justin Thomas.
The works Trivac 3-in-1 compact blower, mulcher, vacuum. Leaves are falling. It's work season.
Well, here we are in Midtown Atlanta today, Bobby Dodd Stadium at Grant Field, and there is the legendary coach of the Yellow Jackets. And that statue that stands out along Bobby Dodd Way was put together through many contributions from his former players. James, unveiled here about 4 years ago. And Rounds with a hesitation coming out of the end zone, and then Victor Alexander, number 9, the freshman from Jacksonville, makes the tackle, and a marker down up near the 29. It's respotted toward the 19, and Penn Wagers will tell us
flag
about
on the play.
As it is, Tulane to the 18, but we'll see if it stands for Curtis Johnson in his 4th year.
Well, you see him talking to himself, and again, it is on special teams, and it's
During the return, holding on the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
nothing special about the special teams for Tulane here so far today. Even deeper in a hole for Curtis Johnson's squad. You mentioned it last week, so how demoralizing for a defense trying to get off the field, get some momentum for the offense. They had a 3-and-out.
Yeah.
Duke comes out to punt. They jump off sides on a punt block team and give them a first down. They go down to score.
Yeah.
Just things like that. It's that third phase, so important.
Lead from under center. Beatty, or beg your pardon, this is Thompson, Lezedrick Thompson, the redshirt junior. Best run of the day for the Green Wave so far, with 5 minutes gone here in the second period.
Love the play call by Eric Price, the offensive coordinator. Why? Well, 70% of the time they throw the ball on first down. Blitzing was P.J. Davis. He got picked up. Great call by the Green Wave to move those chains and get your back there off your goal line. Give this young quarterback some space, and it's up to Thompson to hammer it away.
14-yard run. Hilliard tries a run out of the spread, and Adam Gotsis, the senior from Abbotsford, Victoria in Australia, preseason All-ACC, and on the Outland watch list is Gotsis.
Using those hands, not just hands, but violent hands, as he told us yesterday. Big old mix.
Lead a throw. 2nd and 10. And Keyshawn Freeman will drop it. Back at the 18-yard line. 2nd sack for the Yellow Jackets.
And speaking of hands, Mike Pelton, the defensive line coach, has done a good job with these guys. As a football player, it is tough, believe it or not, to learn to use your hands. Use your hands. See, he's tied up right there. Look at him separate. If you can separate on those big offensive linemen, get them off of you. It doesn't matter how strong they are. They can't eat you up. And good job by Pelton. There he is right there in the middle with the headset on, no hat, of coaching him up and mixing it up a little bit there. You saw Freeman with the bull rush. And then the swiftness. Now it's 3rd and 15.
Tulane 0 for 4 on 3rd down. Lee. Oh, and a great catch by Scott. And a marker thrown in as Trey Scott against P.J. Davis makes a sensational catch at the 38. Nice play for the young man from here near Atlanta.
Well, P.J. Davis was right there on him. May have been holding on to him a little bit. And I'm thinking the flag's on P.J., but, you know, Trey Scott, just to get those hands off of him, that might have been seen as a push-off.
Holding. Number 40 on the defense. Penalty decline. First down.
20-yard throw will stand here to Scott.
Big couple first downs on this drive. There you see left side of your screen. Oh, that's right out in the open. A little bit more separation than I thought initially. And like you said, nice throw by the sophomore Tanner Lee. Now you got to back it up and get some consistency going.
Going to give Rob Kelly the ball on first down. Steps away from 2 tacklers. Far side goes Kelly, and he'll have a first down into Georgia Tech territory. Lynn Griffin finally makes the stop on big Rob Kelly from New Orleans. 14-yard run here.
Looking for R. Kelly to give this offense a little ignition, huh? Let me give that toot. Good job blocking up front. And you know what? He does all the work. At first I was going to say you got to just tuck your head and go get 2. Don't go for the loss. But he kept those feet going. And there's the excitement of a guy who had to sit out all last year and watch his buddies play football. He's back out on the field. And the senior from New Orleans has the 3rd first down of this drive.
Longest drive of the day so far for the Green Wave on their 5th possession. And here's Lezedrick Thompson. And he'll get 3 to the 45. Gotza's the tackle.
I know they wanted to run more against Duke. Duke did a great job. Jim Collins, the linebacker coach there, the Blue Devils, are shutting down that run last week, forcing them to throw. But you've got to keep coming back to it. When you've got guys like Lezedrick Thompson, they can get you 3 or 4 and put you in a 2nd down and 6 or a 2nd down and 5 as opposed to a 2nd down and 10 with an incomplete pass. You've got to feed that big man and help yourself out. Get ahead of schedule, moving those chains.
2nd down. Lee looking to throw, up in the pocket, juggles it, hit as he lets it go. Looking for Veal again, who comes back and makes the catch for the Tulane touchdown. It's Devin Breaux. 44-yard throw, and Tanner Lee had to elude the rush and then stay on point. And Breaux, who made a sensational catch last week for a score against Duke, does it again here today against Georgia Tech.
Well, Wes, that wasn't pretty. But the Green Wave will take it any way they can get it. Here's the ISO on the receiver. Meanwhile, back in the backfield, Tanner Lee is juggling it. DJ White had coverage. Looked over his inside and lost separation.
7 plays, 91 yards, 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Tanner Lee and the Green Wave on the board in Atlanta. Well, the Green Wave on the board. Devin Breaux, who had the huge touchdown catch last week against Duke, does it here today to get the Green Wave on the board. Tulane trailing 21-7 on a 44-yard strike. Tanner Lee doubled his passing numbers on one swing. Sims kick will be through the end zone, and Georgia Tech will play off its 25, James.
Well, let's go back and watch it. And right off the top, watch big Adam Gotza's in the middle. Nice little move. Comes in there, gets a piece of it with those big paws. Tanner Lee, what a great job. Now, pause it here. The separation between these two. DJ White has played that corner position long enough to know that you can't give him space. He comes over the wrong shoulder, inside shoulder. Proper technique for a cornerback, a guy that can run like White, even though he's going up against a track guy, is to keep that body on your body. Feel him, feel him. Watch those eyes snap that head around the inside, and it's an easier play. He got lost by looking back over his outside shoulder. And not to mention Jamal Golden was late getting there, held up by the intermediate route. Big play for the Wave. Thomas eludes the blitzer. Franklin to his right. And Justin going to step out of bounds after about 5 on first down. It's Stewart and Searcy both downfield. There you see, there's the missed block in the backfield. And again, it's Jared Franklin who had a shot. You got to keep him bottled up. You know, we ragged on him so much in the first half, or in the first quarter rather, about his open field tackling. Right there, when you get free on a blitz, sometimes you don't expect to be that free. You can't be surprised. You got to expect to make those big plays all the time. The dive play is Scove for a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd and about 3 for Georgia Tech. Calvin Thomas playing in that defensive front for Tulane. Scove now 47 yards on 8 carries in this first half. All right, Curtis Johnson, co-defensive coordinators Lionel Washington, Jason Rollins. See if you can get that defense off the field. They need a big 3 and out here. Thomas coming on the option. He'll pitch, and here's Snoddy. And near midfield goes Broderick Snoddy. Darren Williams, the defensive end, finally pushed him out of bounds. Well, Clinton Lynch, the A-back on the outside. There he is, boom, bottom corner of your screen. He's the one that makes it happen outside. Nice job blocking not once but twice to move those chains, get enough yardage, and then some. 1st and 10 at the 47, 15-yard run for Broderick Snoddy. Here's Scove. And he'll get to midfield, and look at Patrick Scove fall forward. Williams again, the freshman,
Makes the play for Tulane. Jen, it'll be second down with just better than 5 minutes to go here in the first half.
Well, it's interesting this season to watch Justin Thomas, his second year as a starter in Paul Johnson's offense. The last quarterback to do that was Josh Nesbitt. I talked to him about Justin Thomas and about running this offense, and he said, it really took me 2 years to get this offense, to understand why we're running a particular play and why we're running it to a particular part of the field. He said everything comes easier in year 2. It's all about the reads. Everything happens fast and quick, but it slows down a lot in the second year.
Thomas here on second down, and he'll be brought down for a loss of about 2. Smart and LaFrance there. Here's what Nesbitt's talking about. You see his years from 2008 was year 1 for him, 2009. And in 2009, James, Nesbitt took Georgia Tech to the Orange Bowl where they lost to Iowa. Thomas did it in his first year as a starter. Paul Johnson said yesterday to us, he's the best quarterback we've had since coming here. Nothing against Nesbitt, of course. Just a different cat is Justin Thomas. 4 for 4 on third down. Jackets going here looking for Stewart and overthrown. Nickerson in coverage for Tulane. So it'll be 4th down and 8. Nico Marley in the backfield to fiddle around with Justin Thomas on that attempt.
Well, not only did they bring the pressure, but they didn't give him an exit. It's so important. We've seen already on this drive, Jared Franklin come free in the backfield. This time they had him bottled up from the outside and in, forcing a 3-and-out.
Third punt of the year for Ryan Rodwell toward Veal, who signals for and makes the fair catch just shy of the 15-yard line. 3:48 to play before halftime. Centennial Olympic Park, not far from Grant Field here on a Saturday in Atlanta. Lead for Georgia Tech here in the final stages of period 2. James, I would offer this. After they held Georgia Tech to 6 plays on the possession and a punt, Tulane, who just had the long touchdown pass a moment ago, is a pretty big series for Curtis Johnson's team.
Huge for both teams right here. Could be most important series of the game. If they can at least get a couple first downs, it's huge for Tulane.
Hilliard gets maybe a yard on first down. McCourtis, Tyler from Normal, Illinois, redshirt senior out of a football family who was recruited originally as a quarterback but has clearly found a home at linebacker.
Downstater, baby. I married a downstater from Decatur, Illinois. They're tough, too. Bunch of soybean fields there.
Second down and 9. Curtis Johnson knows what we were speaking of, too. This team's able to put something together here. It could be pretty big. Lead of the gun. Play fake. And throwing for the tight end, and that's Charles Jones II, sophomore from New Orleans with a big first down catch for the Green Wave. And DJ White there to make the stop at the 28.
See what Lee can do with a little bit of time. Stands in there strong, nice in that pocket, and a nice window for him. And that's the Charles Jones they need to show up. Honorable mention, freshman All-American. Best year by a freshman tight end in Tulane history. And White was on him, but he used those hands to go out and pluck it.
Hilliard is the back. Lee, first down give. Dontrell Hilliard tripped up as he crosses the 30. Looked like Gotsis got a hand in it and was able to take Hilliard off balance.
Wes, you mentioned it, how big this series is. Imagine Tulane comes, throw a couple incomplete passes, short runs, have to punt it away. Paul Johnson, with 3 minutes left on that clock, that's ample time to go down there and punch it in one more time and take every bit of momentum into the locker room. Tulane needs to capitalize on the fact that they had that big 44-yard touchdown strike and hoping for a little bit more here with 2 minutes left in the first half.
That's Trey Scott, the other tight end in motion. Lee, sacked. Wow, 3rd sack of this first half, and Tyler McCourtis there for Georgia Tech. And an injured player is Uzdevenis. The left tackle, Arturo Uzdevenis, who's got 26 career starts, is shaken up and down.
He's really upset, too. That's a team leader, the senior from Jesuit High School back in the Tampa area in Florida.
So Georgia Tech stops the clock with 1:50 to play with the timeout as the veteran left tackle's taken care of here.
Well, Marcones comes from the right side, and as a back, you can't just pass him up. I mean, you see that color flashing in front of your face. You can't run by him, and not on the same page. The blocking scheme up front, and here it is, the end of it. Here's DeVinnis, gets his legs rolled up on.
It looked like he was engaged with Rook Chungon coming in from the other defensive end spot. And Arturo's to his feet. The most veteran of the offensive line guys, Chris Taylor, 19 starts. Shinley, 25 coming in today. Next Saturday, we'll be at the Carrier Dome in Central New York. The Orange a win today over Wake Forest in the first conference game of the year, James. So we're going to look at Shafe's team with a hotshot rookie from Oregon pulling the trigger. At 12:30, Central Michigan with a fine quarterback in Cooper Rush against Eric Dungy in the Orange. 12:30 on your regional sports network.
Big win for Schaefer in the Orange today, Wes. And they went all orange.
Yeah.
That was Yuli's first time in a long time.
Schaefer ditched the trademark visor, and all of a sudden the Orange pick up win number 2, 30-17 against the Deacons today. Here's Lee on 3rd and 16 and a flag thrown, and 5 more against the Green Wave here. Unforced error
5-yard penalty.
against John
Third
LeGlue,
down.
who had just come in to replace who's DeVinnis. 4 penalties, 34 yards on CJ's team here in the first half. Well, the story for the Orange is that Eric Dungy, who's there replacing Terrell Hunt. My goodness, what a tough loss for the Orange. A torn Achilles for the quarterback of Syracuse last Friday night in their season opening win against Rhode Island. You see the list of the injured in the ACC.
They're all stars, too. Tough blow for the whole league. You hate to see those guys go down. And just the draw to kind of get off the field here now for Tulane as they keep backing up, just trying to stop the bleeding. But 1:44 again, that's plenty of time. And a quick timeout for Georgia Tech to stop that clock. Okay. We've seen the big return to set up touchdown number 1 on the first punt of the day by Jamal Golden, 45 yards. Here's that last play one more time, and of course the block punt by Chris Milton to set up another touchdown. Tulane, during this timeout, they've got to make sure everybody is on the same page to punt this football away.
Well, Georgia Tech's responded. Golden and White there. They've gotten to Lee in this first half on 3 different occasions. Now, Tanner Lee did get to him once on the long ball to Bro. But McCordis a moment ago, the sack, and now all of a sudden here comes the special teams, which is, we said earlier, has been a problem for Tulane.
Even on this drive, we saw the big catch by Charles Jones. So you've seen the flashes of what Tanner Lee can do, but it's been that hard-charging defense of Ted Rooks that hasn't let him get comfortable.
Michael Lazanich handles the long snaps. Picarelli's the punter, and Golden stands near midfield. Wobbly kick, Golden up for the fair catch at the 38-yard line. 39-yard line. 1:37 to go in this first half. And all throughout the years, throughout the year, I should say, we'll remind you we're giving away a Honda generator each week for 5 weeks during the college football season. Get in on the action. Go to foxsports.com/south/Honda for a chance to win a Honda generator to power your next tailgate. Just a 23-yard punt by Picarelli. Georgia Tech will play off Tulane's 38, James.
Justin Thomas, Patrick Scove, that big offensive line, they want to drive right down and punch it in and take every drop of momentum into the locker room. It'll be a fun halftime locker room if they can hold on to the ball and punch it in and do just that.
Scove to the 33. Eldrick Washington making the tackle. Paul Johnson's team. Who says you don't hurry it up in this offense? Slot set now for the Jackets.
It's 2-minute old, baby.
Here's Thomas rolling out. Gonna take the shot. Searcy there and just overthrown. He had gotten behind Franklin, the nickelback, who spent most of the day tending to Justin Thomas and that time dropped in coverage.
Well, a little bit of space by Searcy on the sophomore safety, and a pretty ball, but just a little bit too strong. And here's the reaction of Justin Thomas. Boy, he threw one Michael Summers, we didn't realize Summers actually ran the wrong route. Those of you that saw the touchdown throw from Thomas to Summers in the opener against Alcorn State, making up for it with the precision of the throw. Thomas, what can they do now on 3rd down and long?
Here's Thomas, going to counter, pitch it. Marcus Marshall, 25-20, and knocked out of bounds near the 15 by Donnie Lewis Jr.
Wes, this might be a forward pass. Watch Justin Thomas just adapt. Hey, you know, it's a freshman, maybe not the exact pitch relationship you want, absolutely not even close. Yet he makes up for it. He doesn't panic. He's just such a cool cat in this offense, and it is a forward pass. Should go down anyway in the stat book. So misses on one, but completes a big one on 3rd down to move the chains inside the 20.
It is scored officially a pass. In motion, that's Searcy. Here's Thomas. Rolling. Searcy open. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. Closest guy was Donnie Lewis to a wide open Quade Searcy.
That's where you get steamrolled defensively. One thing starts to work when you're going up against an offense like this, and then all of a sudden it all works because you're focusing so hard on stopping everything they're doing to you on the ground. You don't have time to draw up everything. What are we going to do when they start sending Searcy out? And they really wanted to go to him, missing on the first try. That time, nobody anywhere near number 1. And the redshirt freshman through the air gets a touchdown.
Flag down as Buckner's point after is good.
There's Searcy in motion. You got to recognize that motion. I'll guarantee you that our guy Jared Franklin, who was in there with his eyes looking into the backfield as Searcy runs by him. Remember, he was the one that was trailing on the incompletion a couple plays prior.
I'll tell you what, it looks in some ways, without the motion principle in front, to be almost the same route Searcy ran a moment ago, where Franklin stayed with him. But because it was Thomas, he stayed with Thomas, right?
Right. You know, the whole spy thing, it's...
I know what you mean.
It works.
Sometimes you burn, sometimes you burn, right?
Yeah, and you got to know your assignment. And I'm guessing from the few plays prior, that's a situation where he needs to turn out of there and run with the receiver, at least get in that lane and not let it be such an easy throw down the middle to an uncovered receiver.
5 of 7 passing for Thomas in the first half, 61 yards in the touchdown, and now with 1:01 to go, Tulane will start off its 25-yard line as you see Rounds down the ball. Here's a look at it from the end zone, Batesy.
Right, and here is, I believe our guy. Go ahead and play it, guys. I beg your pardon. He's going to come further from the outside and let him run by. There was 6 at the very end from that deeper spot, the nickelback spot where he is spying. And he comes across. And you got to get a bump. You got to get some bodies in there in the middle. Nice, easy throw, and big smiles now on the sidelines for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Well, not only did Tulane not take advantage of that possession we thought would be so important, James, Georgia Tech took advantage of the opportunity they were given. And it's 28-7 here in the final minute of this first half.
And that's the difference between a top 15 team, a good football team.
Lee eluding the pressure and incomplete. Looking to the far side, that's Teddy Veal, number 9. For the Green Wave, 6-foot sophomore and wide receiver. Had over half his catches in 2014 in their last 5 ball games. He and Bro expected to be quite a combination in the American this year for Curtis Johnson. Especially with this big 6'4" sophomore slinging it.
Yeah, picked right up. Against Duke, he had 5 catches for 50 yards.
Under a minute to play. In the middle of the field, Beatty the catch, and McCourtis has made a lot of plays in this opening half. And don't forget, coming up on Thursdays, ACC All Access. What's it like to be friends with a superstar? One Tar Heel linebacker knows the answer. Senior linebacker Jeff Stopper explains how his friendship began with pro golf star Jordan Spieth. Catch that and much more with Olivia Harlan on ACC All Access. Check your local listings. Lee Out of the backfield, Beatty again. He'll have a first down. P.J. Davis drags him down, shy of the 39.
Big because there's a timeout left for Georgia Tech. It's been such an adventure, that punt game of Tulane. You don't get a first down there, Tulane. Georgia Tech's going to use that timeout and at the very least make you punt it. There's no telling what's going to happen. I was going to answer that question that you asked, what's it like to be friends with a superstar? I'm not going to watch that show because I already know, because I'm proud to be your friend, Wester.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Stop.
Shoot, going, you guys, we missed you last week, had to call that last preseason game against Falcons.
Yeah.
And then you're back at it on Monday night with Arch, right?
Yeah, me and Arch Monday night.
All right.
Yeah.
But thanks for being my friend.
Unbelievable. It's good to see the offseason has not affected Batesy at all, Jim. I mean, it's been... it's good to be back. Dave Barringer producing. Great to have Lonnie Dale with us directing today in our outstanding crew. Great men and women, a part of our ACC football coverage. Fun to be back with you guys. Thanks to Tom Wormy for handling last Thursday night with Alcorn.
Had fun with Wormy.
Yeah.
He and Obi Mahaley called a tough one for Louisville today.
Tough loss for the Cards. More on that coming up at the half. Lee drops back. 4 receivers. Tulane might got away with a hold. Lee going to throw a laser that's out of bounds in front of the Green Wave bench, and that was Veal again.
Well, you know,
looked like Jockett, the right tackle, might have gotten a handful of jersey to help Lee get out of the pocket. There's 53-year-old Curtis Johnson. Now in season number 4 in New Orleans.
You got to respect the fact, too, that he came out with 4 wide receivers trying to sling it and make something happen. You know, not scared to try to take a punch and put some points on the board.
Here they go again. 3 to the right. Roll the lone receiver here to the left, and
The ruling on the previous play and the incomplete pass. Previous play is under review.
so Penn Wagers will get on the headset upstairs. The replay official Jack McElwee today, and they'll talk. And here's what they're looking at.
They were quick to say no catch. Now,
Look like his wallet is on the line.
That's when you want to just carry credit cards, right? You don't want to bring all your cash to the game if you got your wallet in your hip pocket.
Yeah.
So quickly called an incomplete pass. So, okay, that's big, obviously, because that's where they'll lean. Now, the possession is the question, and the timing of the possession. Ball never hits the ground, but did he have full possession before his hip did go down to the boundary line? And I think that first look might be our best look at it. Here it is. Okay. I mean, that's the question right there. Is that, well, see, the ball's moving.
Yeah.
I think he, well, and maybe does it come out at the end? No, it doesn't. It doesn't come out. But I don't know that he had full control of that football. It was so boom, boom on the hip going out of bounds. And it was incomplete on the field.
Further review. The ruling on the field stands. Second down.
There we go. He's well out of bounds. He's a yard more toward the field, maybe even. So 2nd and 10, just 14 seconds to go here before the half. Update on this week 2 in the ACC coming up at the break. Lee, straight drop. Hit as he throws by Freeman, incomplete. Boy, the sophomore defensive end, Keyshawn Freeman, he and Gotsis and McCordis have really been playing in the backfield of Tulane here in this first half.
Big 42, there's your 93, Antonio Simmons, who they're so high on. Simmons from Jacksonville. Around the edge, great rush, and we've seen these guys. What's really been nice is to watch these defensive ends mix it up. We've seen Freeman bull rush a little bit, use those hands, rip underneath. That time Simmons just the speed on the edge to get the corner. and bring the pressure, and another pop on Tanner Lee. He's been hit so many times here in the first half. They've had him rattled quite a bit.
Georgia Tech playing a deep zone. They're going to run with Hilliard. Paul Johnson going to call his last time out with 5 seconds left.
Absolutely.
It'll be 4th down and about 8. Jabari Hunt makes the tackle. Missed a year ago with academics. Moved from linebacker to nose in that offseason. And in there to make the first play. First time we've called Jabari's name, the redshirt senior from Marietta's Hillgrove High School by way of Panama City.
Just to remind you folks, you use that last timeout, 5 seconds left, to try to put this game almost out of reach with another big mistake by Curtis Johnson's team with this punting unit.
Well, our Ally Bank turning point of this game came in the first half.
And here it is. Speaking of punts, Peter Piccarelli puts it down on the ground, blocked by Milton, and a touchdown is the end result. Quite a turning point in this game.
Turning point brought to you by Ally Bank. Georgia Tech. Lee comes back out on the field now. So Tulane's not going to punt with 5 seconds left. Jackets rush just 4. Lee hangs it up high and batted away and almost intercepted. And that was Lawrence Austin. The Austin twins from Barnesville, Georgia, almost picked it off to end this first half. So Georgia Tech scored 4 touchdowns in 6 first half possessions. And they have a 28-7 lead on Tulane here at the half as Jen is joined by Paul Johnson.
Thank you, Wes. Coach, your team getting a little more tested even with a 3-touchdown lead at this point. Good feel?
Playing a little ragged. You know, we've hit some plays, but it's not as good as we'd like. Defensively, we gave up 1 big play. Other than that, we've been pretty good.
Who or what needs to be more impactful second half?
We've got to block some folks. We haven't blocked the Mike linebacker the whole game.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Jen, thank you very much. Georgia Tech with a 28-7 lead here at the half. Stay tuned. Plenty coming up as our ACC Saturday continues.
ACC College Football is brought to you by Hardee's All Natural Burgers, Honda Generators, and FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football.
As we welcome you back to Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field. Here before we get to the kickoff, Jen had an opportunity, I believe, to visit with Curtis Johnson of the Green Wave.
Yeah, I did, Wes, and I asked him how he tries to keep special teams and their frustration with it from affecting the rest of the game. He feels like they gave away 14 points, that big kick return to start the game, and then when the punt got blocked, Georgia Tech scored immediately afterward. He said, against a good team like this, you cannot give points away. They only had those 27 yards rushing. He said, we were just behind so much, we had to throw a lot, but we are going to try to mix in the run a little bit more in the second half.
All right, Jen, thanks very much. Sims ready for the kick. And Jamal Golden, of course, who has 2 career kick returns for touchdown as a Yellow Jacket from Wetumpka, Alabama. Had the 45-yard punt return that set up the first touchdown today. Waits on the offer of Trevor Sims, who's played baseball at 4 different institutions and now football here at Tulane, and he'll hammer that through the end zone. Jackets will play for their 25. Gives us an opportunity for James Bates' FanDuel Huddle Up. Second half adjustments, Batesy, for both schools.
Well, huddle up. They're mixing it up after that kickoff there. Well, for Tulane, move it forward. When they get the ball back on offense, you can't have penalties that take you back 5 yards. You can't get sacked after a couple big plays. You got to keep chipping away and move forward. For Georgia Tech, no big plays. Don't give up those 44-yarders. Don't miss a big play opportunity by putting it on the ground offensively. And it'll be interesting, too, to see from Paul Johnson's squad here, Wes, how they come out of the halftime locker room. Because this was the one series, the little window when they came out of the locker room, they weren't very good against Alcorn State.
Quay Searcy, 9 yards on first down. As Justin Thomas delivers the pitch, and he had a pretty solid first half both ways, did Thomas.
Well, how about it? Just reading this defense like a book and feeling very comfortable. running the show from his quarterback spot. The touchdown, we even saw at one point that Marcus Marshall, the pitch, Marshall had gotten out of a good pitch relationship, and he pitched it forward for a big third down conversion. It's a pretty nice hitter on first down. Second down and 1. I'll take that play call as an offensive coordinator all day long.
Yeah, that's Quay Searcy who had the 9-yard carry. And here's Skove to convert the short change for the first down. Up toward the 38-yard line. Nico Marley, career high 15 tackles a week ago in the win against, or the loss against Duke, I should say. Made the play there.
The middle of Tulane's defense. Paul Johnson concerned, if you heard him talk as he went off the field to Jen Hildreth. This guy right here, 52, big linebacker Eric Thomas. He said, we haven't blocked him all day long. So let's keep an eye there on 52 and see what they've got for him. Right now lined up there in that spot is Jared Franklin, a little bit deep to spot.
Here's the pitch to Snoddy. Midfield to the Green Wave 45 goes Broderick Snoddy. Eric Thomas, the middle linebacker, comes to make the play for Curtis Johnson's team.
So here, let's look at Thomas. There he comes in. He gets rid of Skove. Just shucks him. And look at the hustle from Eric Thomas to run him down. You know, good job by Thomas. The guy we pointed out in the middle of the field, Jared Franklin, who's that spy, kind of lined up at 8 yards deep, the nickel back, where he is again right now. There he is in the middle. It was a great block, cut block on him to make that play happen.
Here is Lynch, the redshirt freshman from Norcross, and Lynch out of 2 tackles for a touchdown. 45 yards for Clinton Lynch.
Throughout the first half, Tulane may have been out of position a few times to give up some plays, but you didn't see a whole lot of this. By this, I mean missed tackles. 1, 2, 3 missed tackles, and Lynch running through them all and making those angles all wrong. That was a big problem against Duke. They missed way too many tackles. Tackling was a huge emphasis all week in practice for Curtis Johnson and his defense, and I really felt like they had cleaned it up in the first half, but that was not a very good exhibition of defensive tackling football right there. And a nice run by Lynch.
Penn Wagers on the headset. They want to see if Lynch stepped out here. And does not look like it. They're showing the replay on the board in the south end zone to this crowd here at Grant Field. And we get a couple of angles for you to decide as well.
After review, ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
So Lynch has got the score. Young man from Norcross who won back-to-back state titles for Keith Maloof and the Blue Devils here in Metro Atlanta. An outstanding high school program. And boy, what a pretty run from Lynch there. And in 4 plays, they go 75 yards in 2:02, James.
Well, I guess that answers how they're going to come out of the halftime locker room. And, you know, on this first spring's the half, they were all on the bench. It was some second and third teamers. But shoot, you know, Lynch, take Lynch, Snoddy, Marshall, Skove. Take your pick in the backfield. They've been hot today for the Jackets. Big 45-yard touchdown run.
The ACC, Bojangles, Haviland, and Food Lion.
Well, the 25th anniversary of one of Georgia Tech's legendary squads, Bobby Ross's national championship team. They'll celebrate their 25th anniversary in November when they host Virginia Tech officially, but they're really doing it all year long with a lot of look-backs to that marvelous team that beat Nebraska in the Citrus Bowl to capture the national title. There's the kick, and Dontrell Hilliard. Or, I beg your pardon, that's Ricky Preston up the field on the kick return for the Green Wave. And our Hardy stars to watch.
Adam Gotsis. It's Australian for defensive tackle. I like watching the big guy use those hands, get these blockers off, come and separate, making tackles. Almost made a big play on the touchdown by Tulane. Stripped the ball away from Tanner Lee, but Lee was able to hang on. But he's always my first pick when it's time. And who you want to meet with when you meet with the Georgia Tech players on the Friday before the game? Ooh, give me Gotsis.
Yeah, he wants Adam Gotsis, yeah.
Talk about Chris Lilly, comedian from back there in Australia, in Summer Heights High. So
Tanner Lee now. First down, they're going to run it. LaZedrick Thompson. He'll pick up almost 5 full yards on first down.
Wes, that's what I'm talking about going forward. They've talked all off season, Tulane, about tempo. Let's go faster. Let's go faster. Why not try it in now, coming out of the locker room again? They're in another huddle, and I get it. You're down, you turn it right over, give it back to. But just if that's where you're heading and that's where you want to be, you've got to do it before you get into that conference play. And just we haven't really seen anything of what they've really spent a lot of time in on camp. Here's a bunch set.
They're going to hand the ball to Hilliard, and no gain on the play. Keyshawn Freeman followed him up pretty quick. Freeman will not be 19 years old until November. Number 42 for Georgia Tech on that right defensive end spot.
You know, interesting play call because you've got that diamond, that bunch set right off that left side of the line, and then you run it right there. I mean, that's where all the bodies are on defense.
Tulane just 2 of 8 on third down here, James. That makes them 4 of 22 so far in this young season. Lead a throw. Hit as he does, and incomplete toward field. Chris Milton covering, but it was Rook Chungong and Gotsis back there on Tanner Lee.
Well, they get to him eventually, but it's a good job. The pressure wasn't there early on Lee, but guys like White, Milton, Jamal Golden, the secondary for Georgia Tech, holding on to their guys long enough in coverage to force this punt.
There's Picarelli to take the snap from Michael Lazanich. Jamal Golden waits at Georgia Tech's 35. The snap over his head, and Picarelli going to fall on it in the end zone for the safety. And Curtis Johnson is going to have an out-of-body experience on special teams.
What's the high school in Arkansas that never, ever punts? Maybe have those coaches come in the offseason. Boy, this has been ugly. 3 bad.
Well, after the safety on the snap over the head of Picarelli into the end zone, Tulane with the free kick, and Sims has opted to tee it up. And Jamal Golden will wait, and Sims, who can really rip it, does there to the 4. Did he kick it too far? Golden, 30, and tried to elude Jabari Hunt, got out to the 37-yard line. But James, it's been a colossal breakdown for Tulane on special teams.
This was a good snap right in the hands of Picarelli. He can't hang on to it. Eventually blocked by Milton. And punched in a couple plays later. And this one, Peter Picarelli had no chance to get his paws on it.
Well, and we're not showing you the 47-yard missed field goal off the fumble, James.
Well, missed field goal. The 45-yard return to start this game, a punt return by Jamal Golden. Here's a substitution.
Come down. First choice, come down in the half.
It just keeps on piling on over on that Tulane sidelines right now. I mean, you have to burn a timeout here in a game. You're trailing, and you got to burn a timeout for a substitution. You've got a guy that isn't out there. And, you know, and I mean, even this right here, this return set up good field position.
Well, let's take a look at our ACC stories through a week of the regular season. Of course, Florida State, a winner earlier today. Noles won 34-14 over South Florida, but injuries are really the storyline, Batesy.
Connor, Williams, and Hunt. Yep. Brewers well.
By the way, sellout house tonight for the Bull City Classic at the newly renovated, not quite all the way through, but the field looks fabulous. They've done a marvelous job. David Cutcliffe's team welcomes North Carolina Central to Wade Stadium tonight. And a sellout house will look on at the Bull City Classic. Duke, a nice win over Tulane last week. Here's a counter on first down, and this is Searcy picking up about 5, maybe a little bit more. And I'll tell you what, when you think about doing all the work they've done around the venerable horseshoe on the West Campus, look at this, James.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a peek at it here this year. Got rid of the track. It's such a neat venue as it is already, but now it's just going to be perfect. Beautiful.
And you see that the field's been lowered, seats have been drawn closer. On the right side of the screen in the upper corner, you can see the makeshift press area and some suites. That'll be all replaced by new facility after the conclusion of this year. And here's a little slant to Michael Summers, his first catch of the day for Georgia Tech. Converts a first down out to the 48-yard line. Georgia Tech will have a first down at the 48. I like you. I'm impressed with the facilities. Wallace Wade Stadium is something you start messing around with a venue as historic as that one. Of course, hosted the 1942 Rose Bowl, Oregon State and Duke.
And you do what you've done with the program, what David Cutcliffe has done, and you change the mindset, and you feel it's justified to start putting a lot of money into those facilities and into that program.
Here's Thomas on the option. Justin, the keeper, down near the 25 of the Green Wave before Zach Harris, one of the linebackers, is able to trip him up. So another big play on the ground for the junior quarterback of Georgia Tech.
Big Will Bryan's going to get way down the field. Look at 70 take off going. You can't stand flat-footed on the edge if you want to try to make a play on Justin Thomas. That's what happened to the defensive end, Aruna. See if he stepped out. Looks like you can see a little bit of green in between as he runs into the shadows. But you can't stand flat-footed and take the wrong angle if you want to cut off the junior quarterback.
Here's a counter again. Tulane plays it great. And there's Nico Marley making the play. Junior from Weston, Florida. Had 82 stops a year ago, 15 last week against Duke.
Wes, this is the thing that's been frustrating through a defensive lens to watch today. I'm going to have you guys pause it here right now. Pause it for me, please. Okay, you see these big bodies that are pulling? They're pulling for a reason. You got to go meet them, but don't catch them out here. Meet them back there and cause all sorts of just a big traffic jam in the back. And that's what 90 does there. He gets a piece and just creates. When you let those big guys get up and run, they're pulling 310-pounders for a reason.
Yeah.
You can't catch them. You got to go attack them. That's better.
Thomas going to take the shot for Summers and the touchdown. A play action off the option, and Justin Thomas has thrown for his second score of the day.
Wes, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first pass that's also had a play fake, a play action pass, and the option is clicking. We've seen Justin Thomas drop back and throw a couple good ones here today. This time, it's the first time you get everything looks like run, everybody freezes. Michael Summers runs free, his second touchdown grab of the season.
And Butker adds the point after. It's 44-7 with about 8.5 minutes to go here in the third period. And Jen Hildreth moved up into the seats here at Bobby Dodd Stadium.
That's right. You guys were talking about Adam Gotsis as a guy to watch. Let's see the back of this jersey here because these are his twin sisters, Eleni and Christina, who are having quite the adventure visiting here from Australia. So, Eleni, tell me a little bit about what you guys do when you come to visit.
We pretty much just take it easy, relax, you know, clean Adam's apartment, cook for him.
She is lying.
No, we just, you know, just being younger sisters, you know, do what every little sisters do. You know, come out here supporting the family, you know, supporting our brother. Love wearing his number, you know. He's doing a good job out here for everyone, so it's good.
Okay, and I'm just going to add in, along with the house cleaning and ham baking, that they also go to Las Vegas. They're getting ready to go to New York City. They've just turned 21. They are enjoying their time visiting their big brother here. So, Christina, tell me, what about Aussie rules football and American football? Have you grown to learn this game and like it a little?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I remember when he first started playing this, and it was just like, had no idea what he was doing, anyone was doing, and then it took me about 5 years to actually understand what he did. And then once I got that, I was like, all right, cool, I can work with it. And then now it's just grown on me, and I prefer this over any sport. I love the contact, I love the physicality of it, everything. It's a great sport. It brings everyone together, fans, families, everyone. It's good, it's good.
I know you guys are getting stressed because you want to watch the game now. He's out there, defense is out there, but I have to tell you what he said when we asked him about it. He said they're basically like me, only girls.
Literally.
Yeah?
Literally him, but girls, and not like 6'6". So that's the only difference. But otherwise, we're exactly the same as him. Like, we get along, like, just the three little kids, like 3 Stooges. So, yeah, it's always a good time with him. We love it. So, yeah.
Thanks for letting me hang with these 2 Stooges. Back to my 2 Stooges in the booth.
Lezedrick Thompson tries to break free. He's had the best 2 runs of the day for Tulane offensively. As Thompson, the 6-foot, nearly 220-pound back, and Damon Smith makes the tackle from the Georgia Tech secondary. And Adam Gotza's half dozen tackles, including a sack.
And if he keeps...
I knew when we started with the twin sisters we were headed down a road.
Thanks, Jed. I wanted to see that so bad. The way he described his sisters, and you know what? The love. I mean, that's what's so cool. I mean, he loves them, and you can tell they love him right back. And if he keeps playing like he is today, here in his senior year, this guy's raw. Football's still new to him. They're going to be coming, for many years to come here to the United States and watching him play on Sundays. He said, he went home last year. His sister stayed for an extra week. They said, yeah, we're hanging out with such and such. He goes, hey, wait, those are my friends. Those aren't your friends.
Well, Tulane's gotten a steady diet of Lezedrick Thompson. And Georgia Tech has kind of flipped over some of their defensive unit here. Henri St. Amour, true freshman from North Gwinnett High School in Sewanee, just outside of Atlanta. Up 85 makes the stop there. He's playing in the defensive front with Antonio Simmons, who's coming to the ball game, and Francis Callan, redshirt junior, born in London, playing high school ball here in the Atlanta area, has also come in. There's Victor Alexander, number 9, leading the way to make the tackle of Dontrell Hilliard, but Tulane is able to convert. And now we'll have a fresh set of downs over the midfield line. Here's Alexander, who, by the way, was a late sign for Georgia Tech and spurned UCLA on signing day to ink with the Yellow Jackets out of Trinity Christian in Jacksonville.
A lot of Trinity Christian guys right there.
Lee back to the
corner of Florida.
See, after running Thompson a few downs here, James, Lee gets into a passing set. He'll throw on first down and threw it behind Kelly, incomplete. And it'll be second down in the full 10. Interesting that Tulane, and you played the numbers out earlier, 67% on first down. They throw the football. They start running with Thompson. They've had some success with Kelly. Now across midfield, they throw it on first down.
And maybe the mindset is, gosh, we've got to do something. But if you need the quick hitter, you're going to throw it on first down and throw it down the field. If not, give it back to Lezedrick, because he's been a bright spot on this offense.
Lee looking for help. Flips it out in the flat. Kelly got blasted by Damon Smith as the ball arrived. Well, that's well scouted by Ted Roof and his group.
Well, Ted Roof told us yesterday we're expecting a lot of screens. We weren't great against the screens last week. We weren't good against Tulane in the screen game last year. Well, you can tell they worked at it. Watch this. Smith almost comes through and rips it away. Well, look at it. Roof's fired up.
There's the former Yellow Jacket linebacker, member of the famed Black Watch defense.
Had 25 tackles against the University of Tennessee when he was a backer for the Jackets.
Third and very long now. Lee on a straight drop. Zips it downfield, and a nice catch by Bro at the 37-yard line.
Again, the edge, there's the pressure from the edges. Good pressure from the edges. But if you don't have any push up the middle, you don't have the guys walking them back up the middle, Lee has plenty of time.
Here's Thompson. And on first down, he'll pick up almost 5 toward the 32.
Thompson carries the ball.
And the clock continues to move. 5 and change left here in quarter 3. Georgia Tech has scored 16 points in this third quarter. 2 touchdowns and a safety off a special teams miscue by Tulane. There have been a handful of those today for the Green Wave of Curtis Johnson. That's Hilliard in motion. And a hand to Thompson, and got tripped up as he broke through, and it was P.J. Davis, who I think got the hand in. But it'll be enough for the Green Wave first down.
This is all right if you're a Green Wave fan. I mean, do it until they stop it. I mean, that's kind of the mindset of Georgia Tech. Give me three, give me three, give me three. Big hitter. Keep feeding the big guy.
By far their best possession of the day. This is the 10th play of the drive, and Lee throwing and intercepted. DJ White has just come up with his 6th career interception. Tulane had a little momentum going, James, and DJ White had another big play. And look who loves it. Coordinator Ted Roof.
Yeah.
With James Bates, Jen Hildreth, Wes Durham, we're at Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field here in Midtown Atlanta today. The 50th meeting between Georgia Tech and Tulane in a series that started November 4th, 1916. As you get a look at Matthew Jordan now coming in at quarterback. And here's a pitch, and Taquan Marshall, the freshman from Hamilton, Georgia, on the first carry of the day. And there's Matthew Jordan, who was an A-back last week, James, when you were here. Tim Byerly, the backup to Justin Thomas, injured this week. Matthew Jordan pressed into service at quarterback where he was originally recruited. And there's a look at Byerly, a real team guy who hopefully the injury's not too serious. He might be able to come back in a couple of weeks.
Well, even though Justin Thomas runs the show, Byerly very important, and not just as a leader, but short yardage goal line situations. Paul Johnson loved to use him last year, scored a lot of touchdowns.
Here goes Marcus Marshall on the carry across the 25 goes Marcus Marshall. Corey Redwine played at Creekside High over in Fairburn. Makes the stop.
And now Matthew Jordan as the backup to Justin Thomas. You mentioned it, he was a quarterback until the start of preseason. They moved him over to A-back because, well, you're not going to play in front of Justin Thomas, and Tim Byerly's there behind him.
Right.
Let's put you at A-back and get you some plays. And he played about 20, 25 in the slot in the win over Alcorn State.
Here is Matthew. Pitches, and Taquan Marshall reroutes himself on the option and going to run out of real estate and finally taken out of bounds. Thomas was over there. Now, that's the one thing. You play A-back, you know how the offense works, but you still got to be mindful of where you are.
Right, and unlike, late in the game last week, it was Swilling, I believe, was in there late. Right. It's, these guys, you've got Taquan Marshall and company out there. This is still the second string. So you've got maybe not the first stringers out there, but you've got giving yourself a little bit more of a chance. There were times where there were guys that were, just walking on a couple weeks ago in a 69-6 win over Alcorn State.
7 different guys have combined for the 38 total run plays today for Georgia Tech. Jordan in a quarterback draw. Back to his A-back roll a little bit, and he dives forward toward the 34. It'll be 3rd and a couple. Williams, the stop for Tulane. Georgia Tech with a big lead here late in the 3rd, and I'm sure some of this crowd here at Grant Field has started to think about next Saturday's 3:30 start in South Bend against Notre Dame, who's playing Virginia today. And well, how about this, James? 250-plus rushing yards in 15 straight games. They've got 272 today, does Paul Johnson's team.
It's one thing to get beat defensively, but when they're doing it on the ground and punching you in the nose every snap, it's pretty demoralizing.
Here is Marcus Marshall for the first down on 3rd and short out near the 40-yard line.
Look at him. You see, he had that ball tucked away until he handed it off to the official. The true freshman had such a big opener last week. He did fumble once, and they say when he does his little jump cut, which we see a little bit of it there, he tends to let it drop. He didn't drop it there, secured it, and I swear he got up with it tucked away and handed it off. Justifiably a hard time this week at practice. You can't do it.
Well, the 5 points of pressure for Marcus Marshall out of Broughton High School in Raleigh. Now here's Matthew Jordan looking to throw. Pressed in the pocket, coming here to the near side. And he'll get no gain on the play. There is a flag down across the way, Jen, but Marcus Marshall has learned many lessons after his first collegiate game.
did. I asked Paul Johnson about how the freshman reacted this week because he had such a big game in his debut. And Coach Johnson said, I roasted him. Ball security. Everybody was on him all week. And then he was 5 minutes late to a team meeting.
Uh-oh.
Bates, you know that doesn't go over well as a freshman. But not only for Marcus. I think there were some eyebrows raised at his 3 roommates who just left him there.
Teammate code, right, Bates?
Yeah, but still, come on. You got to be there early as a freshman, don't you?
Here's a little B-back option. And Marcus Marshall will pick up the first down across midfield toward the Tulane 48-yard line. And this is a play that Jonathan Dwyer made famous when he was lining up at that spot for Paul Johnson. And after his 184 yards last week, Marcus Marshall drew quick comparisons from some of the Tech faithful to Jonathan Dwyer.
Jen, Wes, I got to admit, I haven't told you. I didn't tell you yesterday during our meetings. Let him play this play. I don't want to talk over it telling my story. But
here comes Matthew Jordan. Little pitch. And around the edge goes Isaiah Willis for another Georgia Tech first down, and that'll take us to the end of the third period of play. We're going to come back for the final 15 minutes. Georgia Tech trying to get to 2-0 with a good lead going to the final 15. Quick look at our Hyundai game summary through 3 periods of play, and Georgia Tech, their calling card up over 300 yards of offense, James.
Look at that third down number. And, well, it starts with first down. A 6 of 7 third down conversions. Best team on record last year.
Ninth play of the drive is a touchdown. Did he hold on? Yes. Taquan Marshall. Yard strike from Matthew Jordan to the freshman Marshall.
Well, we've seen Justin Thomas throw it around a little bit here now, buying some time with the pitch, turning his back. And when he sets back up, he's got Taquan Marshall streaking down there all alone. Well, Matthew Jordan, you're not an A-back anymore, young man.
No. By the way, Malik Eugene put a nice hit on Marshall, who held on through that for the touchdown. 9-play drive for the Jackets. And they crossed 50 points on the Butker extra point. Took a pretty good lick. The young freshman held on, and Matthew Jordan's got one through the air in the Georgia Tech scoring column. 51-7 in Atlanta.
To navigate, ACC College Football is brought to you by Ally Bank, where no branches equals great rates. The Ego Power Plus Blower. Ego, power beyond belief. And your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places.
Well, look inside Turner Field. Braves are at home this weekend with the New York Mets in town. And about 2-3 miles away. 51-7 now. Georgia Tech, the big lead on Tulane early in this fourth period after Matthew Jordan's touchdown pass.
Didn't the Braves lose the game 51-7 a couple weeks ago?
Unbelievable.
Let's
get to the Honda Generators power play.
Taquan Searcy. Or Quay, rather. How about the redshirt freshman? On the ground, 6 carries, 35 yards, including that touchdown dive. Through the air, only 1 catch. But it counted for a touchdown as well. 17 yards out. That's your Honda Generators power play. Number 1.
7 touchdowns in 9 possessions today for the Georgia Tech offense, James.
They were 7 of 7 in the red zone in week 1 against Alcorn State. All touchdowns, 69-6, the difference there. And this one's 51-7. We've got a whole lot of ball left to be played. And we've also got, remember, we've got a quarterback in Matthew Jordan that you'd like to think is probably going to get quite a few snaps.
Wait a second. Hold on. Ben Wagers has said to reset the game clock for 15 minutes, but didn't Matthew Jordan throw the touchdown pass to Taquan Marshall on the first play of the fourth quarter? He did.
Yeah.
So you can't reset the game clock because you've already had a play in the quarter, correct? There we go. Just checking. The math from it's been a while since I left the math department at Elon, but I think I got that one worked out. Glad everybody's on the same page. We're ready to go. So here is Lee. And Lizedrick Thompson on first down. And boy, swapping licks with A.J. Gray and also Sean Kagawa. The flying Hawaiian sophomore safety Kagawa. And now a little tempo here by the Green Wave.
Well, it's the backups in for Georgia Tech right now. And, you know, you look across, we've highlighted the injuries in the ACC to some stars, but across the landscape of college football, you can't expect to just run the season with all your first teamers in there. You better have some depth if you want to be successful. You're the number 15 team in the nation. You expect to go win an ACC championship, maybe go get into the playoff. You better have some depth, and I haven't seen it on the second unit, the third unit of the defense here. The first unit has been lights out. But this is what happened last week against Alcorn State. The second unit comes out and starts the second half, and Alcorn State marches right down and scores their only points of the game. You can't let them just push you off the ball here. This is a tired Tulane offense. Been out there all day long. You've got to step up so you can play too.
Curtis Johnson had Josh Rounds and Rob Kelly lined up for third and short, and then they banged their second time out. Breaking the action. Fourth quarter continues after this. 51-7, fourth quarter here at Grant Field at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. Third and short. Big look here for Tulane. They're going to run it with Kelly, I believe, or no, Lizedrick Thompson, and I'm not sure, James. It'll depend on the spot here. Dominique Noble, the redshirt senior from just north of Charlotte, up near Dave Behringer's hometown, makes a stop, and it is enough for the first down.
First down, Tulane.
And Noble, who was a safety last year, I think he's the one, yeah, he is, to knife through and get the initial lick, but just able to fall forward enough to move the chains.
Kelly and Thompson down the backfield with Lee. Fresh set of downs for Tulane at it's 35. And Kelly and Victor Alexander, the big freshman there, with Jabari Hunt to push back Kelly. No gain on the play. Well, Jabari Hunt returning to the field for Georgia Tech this year. As you see Antonio Simmons, and there's a look at Jabari. In 2013, started 7 games, 45 tackles, 7 for loss, 2.5 sacks. There's Lee on second in the full 10. And here is Field working his way across midfield. Tackle made by Sean Kagawa, Jen.
Well, you mentioned Jabari Hunt and all that he went through last year. He told us it was one of the toughest things in his life that he's gone through. He was academically ineligible, and it wasn't just that part where he learned how to really be a student and focus on his academics. He had some personal issues as well, which he was open enough to tell us about right after this play.
Kelly fighting, and big Rob Kelly at 220 pounds picks up about 8 on first down, Jen.
But just essentially to give you a glimpse into what was going on with Jabari, he was living with his aunt and uncle, happened to be former Yellow Jacket St. John Day's parents, and he made the decision for personal reasons to split with them and reestablish a relationship with his own parents. He said he had never been allowed to make his own decision and learn from it. He feels like he's doing that now.
Here's a second and short play. And stepping out of bounds for Tulane is Sherman Beatty off the pass from Tanner Lee. And good for Jabari Hunt because it was a very enjoyable visit yesterday with him, James.
It was. And, yeah, I mean, just you can see it in his eyes. He said, you know, I respect guys that, you know, guys like Patrick Scove, guys like Trey Braun now that are great students. He goes, I respect them so much more. And through it all, he comes out and he's going to get his education. He's doing better on the football field, but he wants to be a life coach to help young kids in his situation.
Here is Burrow making the catch. Little short routes from Tanner Lee. And even Jabari now, remember he was a linebacker, put on some weight in his year away in the weight room, and a lot like Bates on the dance floor apparently.
I don't know. That hurt my back. I'd fall over backwards. Flat on that squat rack.
I tell you what, they have done Jabari has added the pounds and added the muscle and now puts his hand on the ground. And Shaq Mason, who has played a big role the other night for the New England Patriots as a rookie out of Georgia Tech, said one of the reasons he was so good a year ago in the offensive line was because of the test that Jabari Hunt gave him. And John Sisk right there, the strength and conditioning coach, came over. He was with Bobby Johnson at Vanderbilt when he rebuilt the Commodores, and Sisk has done a nice job here. Director of Player Development for Paul Johnson. Lee hit as he throws, and the catch made, and that's Trey Scott, the sophomore tight end. So red zone opportunity now for Tulane. And James, unless I'm missing, this will be their first trip to the red zone this year.
They went right past it on their one touchdown of the day. Nice easy pass right down the middle for Lee. Nice quick pass. And Trey Scott, the sophomore, they've got 2 sophomore tight end targets they can go to.
First red zone opportunity for the Green Wave, and Hilliard, no. Wow, Patrick Gamble, the redshirt junior from Carrollton, wraps and drops Dontrell Hilliard. Loss of about 2.5 on the play.
Here comes Gambler. Got to put a body on him and help the guy out. Hilliard, a distant cousin of Ike Hilliard.
Yeah.
1996 national champion.
I was getting ready to say, one of your guys from Gainesville.
Yeah, for a great career in the NFL. Nice little drive here for the Green Wave.
Lee from the gun, gonna hand to Thompson, and flipped over, but he'll have it up for the first down. LaZedrick Thompson now. It'll be first and goal for Tulane. You know, there's something to be said. Beatty's a fine player, but Thompson and Kelly have given him a little punch on the ground.
In West, you see it at times. Don't sleep on these guys in conference play. They've got some receivers that can go. They've got a couple good tight ends. We're seeing this offensive line come together here now. Yeah, it's against the second, third string unit of Georgia Tech, but a big, experienced offensive line, a quarterback that can make some throws. But I'd be feeding 33 until the cows come home. I like 33 whenever he's got his hands on the ball.
Lee going to throw here, and almost intercepted. Hilliard out of the backfield, the intended receiver. And A.J. Gray from Sandersville, Georgia, and Washington County, who had a fumble recovery last week in the win over Alcorn, almost comes up with his first career interception.
You mentioned Alexander earlier, number 9. Well, number 15 as well. There's Gray, who almost had it. The 2 true freshmen that are going to be big-time players by the time they leave Atlanta. A.J. Gray, well, he played a lot of snaps last week on special teams as well. Can really fly. All-American high school player, 2014 Gatorade Player of the Year. Well, second down and goal for Tulane, but we'll do it after this break, I guess.
ACC College Football is brought to you by Works. Leaves are falling. It's Works season. And Hyundai.
Well, we're in the fourth quarter. And Georgia Tech a big lead. Tulane on their best offensive drive in terms of yardage. As we rejoin you from Atlanta. Second and goal. Lee under pressure, going to throw and overshoots Veal. Covered by Lance Austin. One of the Austin twins, Lance and Lawrence, from down at Lamar County High School. It'll be third and goal. 15th play of the drive coming up, James.
8:34 left to play. Tulane, they don't need 3. They need a touchdown. Not that they're going to chip their way back into this football game at 51-7. But they need to leave here with the last half of this fourth quarter with a whole lot of feel-good as they head back to New Orleans. The ugly start against Duke. It's been an ugly game for the most part against Georgia Tech.
3 receivers, 2 backs in the package for Lee. Going to dump it out in the flat and incomplete. Boy, Rook Chungang read that well on the ball intended for Hilliard. And again, Ted Roof talked yesterday about screens and so forth. The Jackets were minding the store there. And
he didn't just talk to us about it. He talked to this defense about it throughout the week. they've been there. 2 screens have been tried against them by Tanner Lee in this offense here today. Both of them snuffed out in a hurry.
Here's Andrew DeRocco now to attempt a 27-yard field goal. And the kick is good. So with 8:25 to play, Tulane gets DeRocco's first field goal of the year on his first attempt. And it's 51-10. And a quick reminder, join us next Saturday, 12:30 start time from the Carrier Dome. Scott Schaefer's team's 2-0, James. Nice win today in their ACC opener against Wake Forest. They'll welcome Cooper Rush and the Chippewas of Central Michigan to the Dome at 12:30. Central Michigan, who gave Oklahoma State a fight, beats Monmouth today. And we'll get a look at the rookie, Eric Dungy, at quarterback. 12:30 next Saturday. And, of course, Georgia Tech's headed to South Bend. Notre Dame in a scrap today with Virginia. And you saw the last time they played, 2007. Chan Gailey's team with Tashard Choice running the rock. Went up there and beat Charlie Weiss and the Irish 33-3.
Well, Notre Dame beat up on Charlie Strong's Texas Longhorns last week. They were having trouble at halftime. They trailed Virginia, started to pull away a little bit, but Virginia's fighting back into that one. Look at that, 5-point difference now. Virginia hadn't scored forever. I don't think they scored in the third quarter. So that game isn't over. So will it be an undefeated top 10 Notre Dame team that Georgia Tech sees next week?
Yeah, good point. Irish number 9 this week. And the kick is going to go out of bounds from Trevor Sims.
First down.
And so Georgia Tech will get the ball at the 35. And a quick reminder to you, on Wednesday night, join Mr. Bates, Ovi Mahaley, the former Deacon, Takeo Spikes, Coach Tommy Bowden for ACC Gridiron Live. This week, Coach Bowden talks about the future of his dad's old address with Jimbo Fisher. ACC Gridiron Live coming up this week as Tommy Bowden visits with Jimbo Fisher. Join Batesy and Obi Mahaley, Takeo Spikes, and Tommy Bowden. Here's Matthew Jordan running the offense off the 35. Lots of room. Jordan midfield. Now he will sail 65 yards. Wow, James.
He didn't forget how to play quarterback at all. But it's easy to remember when you've got nothing but fresh air between you and the goal line. His quarterback stuff, even the touchdown pass he threw. Wide open target. Has hit Taquan Marshall. This time it's all offensive line up front, clearing the way for him and smooth sailing into the end zone.
And Georgia Tech's got to get an extra hand out there. Will Bryan to add the point after. Harrison Butker. And Ryan Rodwell to hold here for the extra point. And the try is good. 10 possessions, 8 touchdowns today for the Yellow Jackets. And the latest, Matthew Jordan from Jackson, Alabama, coming right at you. Well, Paul Johnson comfortably on the way to win number 60 as Georgia Tech's head coach, and career win 167. How about this stat, James? Last 2 years, 27 of the 80 touchdowns Georgia Tech scored in 2 minutes or less. This year, half of them, 8 of 16.
And that's not the way it's supposed to happen around here. You know, they'll take it. They've got some big play potential, some big play guys, as we've seen.
More than a third of their scores a year ago. And the kick by Bucker, and Preston will catch it 9 yards deep and touch a knee. Tulane will play from its 25. Time for today's Z-Max performance play. Why not Matthew Jordan, James?
Heck yeah. Look at him. Last week, ladies and gentlemen, he was a running back. They moved him over to A-back because they didn't think he'd get a chance to play. Tim Pyerly with the injury at practice this week. Hey, Matthew, we got to move you back to quarterback. 1 touchdown pass later and a 65-yard sprint into the end zone. Give it to him.
That'll help you average, Matthew. 3 carries, 72 yards, but he got 65 in 1 swing. So here's the green one.
Wait, but over a third, Wes?
Yeah, last year.
Wow.
Over a third of their possessions. Offensive touchdowns in 2 minutes or less. 33.7%. And here's Devin Powell at quarterback and a fumble. And Georgia Tech's recovered. He tried to hand it to Josh Browns, and they fumbled it on 1 play. And St. Amour falls on it. Second turnover of the day for the Green Wave at the 8:09 mark.
Wow, that second turnover here in the 5th already for this defense this season. A defense that forced 29 last year, and you got to feel for that staff over there on the Tulane sidelines. It's been not just a long day, but a long start the last 2 weeks. The Duke game, all kinds of miscues. And now here today.
Here's Brady Swilling at quarterback now. Redshirt sophomore from Chatsworth, Georgia. And Marcus Allen, who you guys saw got shaken up last week against Alcorn State with an ankle injury. But back in the lineup here today. Makes the carry for about 3 yards. So Allen, the redshirt junior, Hilliard, Florida.
It's good to see Allen back out there. It took him a while to get him off. We weren't sure what was wrong with them, but keeping those guys healthy. He's cousins, by the way, with Champ and Boss Bailey, a couple big-time Georgia Bulldogs.
And here goes Marcus Allen. And he'll have the first down. And Marcus Allen has the touchdown as Georgia Tech goes over the 60 mark. Fifth carry of the year for Allen. And a Georgia Tech touchdown. A 17-yard run for the score.
Remember, in the 69-6 win last week over Alcorn, the starters, they didn't see the field, most of them, after the first quarter. Justin Thomas wasn't out there. His first-string teammates weren't out there. Right. And we talked yesterday with Paul Johnson, about some of these guys, about the mindset, even coming into today. Hey, you knew we had a chance. Number 15, Georgia Tech. Tulane looked sloppy in their opener against Duke. We had a feeling this might happen. And we talked to him. What's the plan if it does get a little bit ugly? Are you going to pull him quickly, Justin Thomas and the rest of the crew? And he said yes. He said, if my thought on it is, if we've got a game one, we feel comfortable with it, get those starters out of there. He said more than anything, backups like this, and watch the end of this play. You see all these teammates, watch all the gold helmets come together and celebrate to hug them up. That right there, I mean, that's morale. That's what he's talking about. It's so good for the team to have those backups involved every chance they can get involved.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example. That picture right there. Hey, this game has been over for quite some time now, but those guys, you couldn't tell those guys. I mean, this is a blast for them, and who knows when they'll get in again. You got Notre Dame on the horizon next week.
Well, then you go Notre Dame, you got Duke on the road, then you're not back at home here in Atlanta until the first Saturday in October when North Carolina comes calling. Then you're on the road at Clemson. 3 of your next 4 for Paul Johnson's club on the road. Bucker to kick it away. It's 65-10. Harrison drives this one deep. Preston will touch a knee, and Tulane again will start from its 25, Jen.
Wes, frankly, I can't believe with all the singing James Bates has been doing during this game that he hasn't broken out any Bob Marley with Nico Marley over there playing for Tulane and playing his heart out, by the way. When I talked to Nico this week, he obviously is very aware of his heritage. His shirt says it all. He's aware of the message his grandfather brought all around the world, the positivity unity and peace and being progressive. And that lion part on his shirt, that comes from his dad, Rohan. That's the way he played as a linebacker at Miami, and Nico told me he tries to play the same way, bring that lion-hearted attitude to his defense. And in the time he was out there today, I don't think anybody would argue he did just that.
That's right, the lion order. Him and his dad always tweeting out.
First down pass. Powell that time finds Hilliard on the far side. He'll have close to a first down. A.J. Gray runs him out of bounds.
And you know, guys, Nico's a business major. His dad and his family, they've done such an incredible job with so many things, and most recently the coffee company.
Right.
And great job on some of the lands down there in Jamaica that they own. So one that maybe is going to go right into that family business upon graduation or the end of football.
Preston the catch. It's ruled incomplete as Lance Austin stripped him of it right near the 48-yard line.
You know, Wes, if I'm a recruit, some 100-meter dash champion out there, I'm not trying to hear this whole offense hurts recruiting thing and that, you know, all I'm going to do is cut block and they don't like to throw the ball, even if I'm being recruited by Saban, like Justin Thomas was.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
All I need to see is Orange Bowl champions. This is the oldest college stadium on campus in ball. In that beautiful Atlanta skyline. I mean, heck, the varsity's right across the street.
Yeah.
You got a good calculus class there? Check. You got that. Just ask Patrick Scope, the MBA student from Stanford, or Adam Gotsis,
right,
who, by the way, is from Australia. I don't know if we talked about that.
We did earlier.
You know, or a guy who helped make this wide receiver university, Calvin Johnson, on and on. And it would be hard to say no to a coach that doesn't use a play sheet, to an offense where the B-backs or the fullbacks and opponents have to stop the dive first.
Yeah.
Give me the triple option. Give me a school without university in its name.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And I think you're getting it today, 65-10, right?
Well, it's absolutely. And boy, could they ever make some noise nationally. You know, everybody talks about how strong that SEC West is and what they did in that Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
To Mississippi State shows that this Georgia Tech team, they can go blow for blow with anybody in the nation. And, you know, hopefully we'll find out next weekend in South Bend that they can do that on the road here against the big dog here to start 2015.
Wobbly kick. Brad Stewart, who caught a pass in the first half, up the signal for the fair catch with 6:15 to play. Just a 29-yard punt by Piccarelli, but better safe than sorry for Tulane on special teams, which has been part of the issue today for the Green Wave, as it was last week, and Brady Swilling back out to operate the offense. By the way, Swilling is a football legacy. Both his dad and uncle were football players at Furman. Brady's getting a chance here in his second straight ball game with Georgia Tech to start this 2015 season. The keeper picked up about 4 on first down. How about here, James? 134 points in 2 games. Modern day school record. The most since 156 in 1918. And when you go back to 1918, James, you go back to the era of John Heisman coaching Georgia Tech. That'll be a first down for Brady Swilling. And when you go to the 1918 season, they beat Furman 118-0, 11th Cavalry 123-0, and NC State got beat 128-0. Wow. Jen, how about that? Unbelievable. So now they're marching on hallowed ground with 1st and 10, and Jen standing by with a legend at Georgia Tech from the mean streets of Alvin, South Carolina.
You better believe it, Joe Hamilton. A legend is what Wes Durham just called you. That's all right. I think Georgia Tech fans would agree, right?
Yeah, I know. I'll take that coming from Wes. Great friend of mine. Yeah.
Okay, well, wanted to get your take, being that you know what it means to play quarterback at this school, and get your take a little bit on what you've seen from Justin Thomas.
Well, first of all, you got to start with poise. I mean, that's what he exonerates, is just poise. His teammates believe in him. He's in the foxhole with them. He doesn't expect him to do anything that he wouldn't do out in that field. Different type of leader. He's one of those guys that watch me, and I'll show you how it's done. But it's more than one way to skin a cat, and he's been very, very effective at Georgia Tech.
How have you seen him grow, maybe in that department, because you were a pretty good leader yourself when you were out there. How have you seen him grow into that role?
Well, making plays. You got to get out there and do it first. A lot of leaders can't evolve until you get out there and start making plays. And once those guys see his ability to make plays, stay calm under the storm, and let the team ride on his back, and also allow those guys to make plays and understand that he has a lot of confidence in them, not trying to do it all. I think he's maturing very, very quickly in my eyes now. The sky's the limit.
What do you like about watching this offense and the way that it just mows people down, 65 points up on the board again?
The teamwork aspect of it, on all plays, 11 guys got to be doing their job. And when it's working like that and everybody's clicking on the perimeter blocking, inside and out, it's very, very exciting to watch and pretty. And a lot of people don't understand we have a lot of different nuances in the offense, so it's just not the triple option, but it's very exciting when it gets rolling.
What do you think the toughest thing is for the quarterback to run this offense?
Sometimes the stats don't show. Sometimes you just got to do your job. Maybe you got to pitch it, hand it off. Your number's not called as much. But when you're getting touchdowns instead of field goals and not punting the ball, it correlates to a quarterback being very, very successful. And the numbers sometimes don't show that, but that's another thing I love in Justin Thomas. No matter what the numbers are, he's just a winner.
Dynamic moves, you and Justin. Who's going to have the better ones out there?
Justin Thomas, without a doubt.
Oh, listen to that. Okay, will you toss it back to our legend in the booth?
Back to another legend.
Oh.
There goes your West Durham.
All right,
good to
Joe.
see you, buddy.
You too. Joseph Fitzgerald Hamilton Jr., runner-up to Ron Dane, the 1999 Heisman Trophy. And Georgia Tech on 4th down, and I believe Brady Swilling has fallen to the 46 of Tulane. And James, I've said often, you get good guys on the field, you sound pretty good. This guy made you sound great. Calling games.
Yeah, and in his prime, I don't know. There aren't many better putting his foot in the ground and deciding he's going to go north and south than Joe Hamilton. And talk about energy. That's what I remember watching him play. Just the way the team fed off of it.
Yep.
That big smile, he still got it, too.
Big-time competitor. Took Georgia Tech to 10-2 in 1998, a share of the ACC title, and a win over Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl on New Year's Day in Jacksonville. And then, of course, in 99, his senior campaign, runner-up to Ron Dane for the Heisman Trophy and the ACC Player of the Year.
A couple things that I found interesting about that interview is, and you hate to see this, here's a Tulane player down with just 2:09 left to go, is he said sometimes the stats don't show, and for some quarterbacks, for a lot of college football players, that matters.
Right.
But when he came back and he said it doesn't matter to Justin, it really doesn't matter to Justin Thomas if he has any stats at all, as long as his team is winning. And, some people can say that, but I believe that when Paul Johnson talks about it, when Justin Thomas talks about it, and Paul Johnson, he's had to get on him a little bit for not trying to spread the ball around so much to keep it and to be that guy every now and then when opportunity presents itself. And it's good to see.
Robert Kennedy is the guy shaken up, a young man, redshirt freshman, who's an interesting story in himself. Robert Kennedy's mom, Sandra, lieutenant colonel in the Army, deployed to the Middle East. A lieutenant colonel is his mother. And when he signed to play for Curtis Johnson, he said it's one of the real blessings to be able to go play college football on a scholarship. And he said, my mom is my hero and my inspiration to do this. And I'd say so. So we're thinking of Lieutenant Colonel Sandra Kennedy representing our country.
Absolutely.
Second and short, and here's Swilling on the toss. And coming to the near side for Georgia Tech is Austin McClellan, I believe. No, beg your pardon. That was Dorian Walker.
Going deep now, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Way down now. Got all these names.
And Paul Johnson, the headset is off as we roll toward the 1 minute mark to go. So Georgia Tech will go to 36-12 at home under the 8th year head coach. And they're going to take a 2-0 mark to South Bend, Indiana next week to meet a Notre Dame team who is getting all it wants at Charlottesville today against Virginia. 5-point lead for the Irish, but Virginia has the ball on their side of the field here in the fourth period.
You know, I was watching some of the highlights just today from that UCLA win over Virginia last weekend. Defensively, this is a Virginia team that was in position a few times. Josh Rosen, a true freshman quarterback, that kid is legit. He dropped it in there a few times. I couldn't believe it. It was good coverage by the secondary of Virginia.
Here's Swilling on the keeper. Final play of the game. Brady Swilling breaking free inside the 20. They'll move the chains. Stop the clock to move the chains and then restart the clock. In fact, that'll take it out. Yep, that's the final play of the ball game. So Swilling's keeper ends up being the final play. Georgia Tech runs away from Tulane here today. 65-10 is the final. Jen Hildreth standing by with Patrick Skov.
Yeah, Patrick, I told him he's not quite done yet, even though you were sitting there for a while. But let's just talk about this offense and the points it's putting on the board. What do you like about it?
We all work together. There's a lot of different options, as you saw in the first half. Anybody can touch the ball, score the ball, and everybody thinks this offense is a lot of small, short plays, but at the end of the day, we're very explosive, and I think we're starting to put it together, and we're starting to get rolling a little bit.
Another touchdown for you. You told us you were contact-oriented. Describe your style, if you will.
You're trying to get as many yards as possible, limit the amount of negative plays we get, and so just trying to always fall forward and do what I need to do to get positive yardage, and if I end up in the end zone, well, then that's good.
Last question. Are you guys ready to head to South Bend now? 2 big wins.
Yes, ma'am. We're on the road to get 3-0. Next game up.
Thanks very much. Congrats.
Of course. Thank you.
Wes?
Jen, thanks very much. Skov, 11 carries, 50 yards, a touchdown. Justin Thomas and the Jackets go to 2-0 with a 55-point win.